hear you.
I was just waiting for the time to start
Okay.
to do it. But you know what? This is a good time as any.
It is.
Hey everybody, guess what? Welcome to That One Podcast. We have some pretty eclectic topics today. Would you say, Pedro? We're kind of going all over the place, but
We're hitting several continents, I'll tell you that.
oh, for sure. We are
3 continents.
We're going prestige worldwide on them with this. But yeah, we got a lot of shit to talk about, and I think we have something that the fun detector every time. All right.
Every time.
Hello, my love.
Oh.
Keeping this in the podcast.
No, I said hello, my love. How did that sound like grandma?
I thought you said abuela.
So you just made me speak Spanish out of nowhere. No.
If I yell really loud, can she hear me or can only you hear me?
Like, I'm not your
hold
abuela.
Hold on, because I don't have you on speaker.
No, it's going to reverberate. It's going to be crazy bad.
Yeah. No, she can't hear you.
No, that's fine.
Oh, are you recording right now?
I literally pressed start 4 seconds before you called.
It sounded like you said hello, abuela.
I heard you say that. I did not say hello, Abuela.
It is recorded. You can go
do
back to the
need
tape.
Anything to eat?
You'll be back early enough where even if I
Yeah.
don't eat enough, we'll have food earlier.
All right. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
All right, bye.
Bye.
How like clockwork. So you look, you know, Liz.
I didn't stop recording or anything. I just had
didn't
the
either.
thing running.
So,
Okay, cool.
Holy shit! There's another mass shooting that just happened right now.
Probably.
And
Probably.
what's Jacksonville Landing?
Jacksonville Landing? I don't know.
Oh, it's like a place in Jacksonville that it's essentially like a spot that has a lot of bars and restaurants.
Oh, is that a Madden tournament?
Are you fucking kidding?
That's what CNN said. Well, CNN, unless there's also a Madden tournament that got shut up at the same time.
No, this is it. It's in this article too. Which, by the way,
Man.
this goes to Google. Okay, your algorithm works, but it doesn't take into account shit that doesn't work. Okay, because I get references for Fox News articles all the time because it thinks I'm a fucking Republican. And the reason it thinks that is because there's another dude named Marvin Cross who lives somewhere else and doesn't know how to sign up for the right email address. And I know this because I've received emails from this dude numerous times.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
and I could tell you a whole profile on this dude, okay? I know where he lives. I know who his relatives are. I know what job offers he's got because the nigga gave the wrong email address.
Oh,
and they sent me his offer
How's that
letter.
Google's fault?
Well,
That's not Google's fault.
No.
That's his fault.
No, here's the thing.
Wait, you got an offer letter?
I got his offer letter. I got his offer letter. And I knew, and I sent it to him, and he thought it was fake because he's like, this is coming. I go, motherfucker, you gave him the wrong address. And I should have kept it and be like, no, you don't get that job. But nonetheless, here's the thing. What has happened, though, is he also has newsletters that he gets sent, that I get sent, that I just mark as spam and unwanted. Some of them have been from the NRA. Some of them have been from these weird Republican websites that are like, they're like deep level like websites that aren't indexed and shit, right? That I'm getting emails from that are only about like Republican conspiracies, like fucking Pizzagate and shit like that, you know? But
you're getting like QAnon stuff in your email?
Exactly. But like I mark it as spam. But what ends up happening is because it was in my email, Google goes, oh, well, this nigga likes this. So he must like Fox News.
Now you're getting Google alerts for it?
Exactly.
Like if you swipe left on your home screen on your phone, you get Fox News stuff?
Yes. Here's the thing I'll say. I'm not opposed to seeing articles from Fox News. I'm not one of those people that like, if I don't like something, I don't want to be associated at all with it, you know, because I want to see what other people are talking about to know how stupid it is, right? So if I don't know, then that's my problem. I can't have a very well thought out argument against how stupid it is. So, but at the same time, the fact that and this happens a lot when you get the alerts from Google that says, "Oh, this thing is going on." I very rarely get anything from CNN or MSNBC. I almost never get shit from MSNBC. It's real focus on fucking Fox News. But I'm not going to sign up for a bunch of liberal shit to balance it out because I don't want that shit. I don't want to have newsletters.
You didn't sign up for the other one.
Exactly.
Yeah. But usually in my alerts, I'm allowed to say like, give me less like this and stuff. And
well, like, so it's all or nothing though, right? It says see, I don't want to see any of that. And that's the thing. It isn't that I don't want to see any of it because again, I want to know what dummies are saying. Because if they're talking like when Pizzagate first started, I didn't know it was a thing until I saw it on Fox News articles. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? This is so dumb. But at the same time, I wasn't seeking out Pizzagate information to figure out how the deep state is trying to molest kids or whatever. Like it's,
dude, that stuff, like is so deep in there, and the fact that it bubbles up because like it's so easy to get these things on social media now.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's quote unquote fixing it, but
I feel like I've accomplished something that I haven't gotten any Pizzagate or QAnon related stuff, as in something you might want to see in a while. Which is weird because the only social media thing I really use is Twitter, which is supposed to be the worst one for it. But
supposed to be.
I've somehow kept it. Oh, I've been curating my Twitter feed since 2009, so
yeah,
it's fairly safe. Unless they're shadow banning all of them, which if they are, more power to them. I don't care. So
I almost said something that I don't want to be out on the internet because it'll fuck you over. I was gonna say everybody sign for
no.
I'm
even.
gonna edit it out. I'm not gonna.
All my shit's private. All my shit's private anyway.
I know.
A
newsletter will fuck your shit up, man. I'm telling you.
I know it will.
But that's why I was like, I'm not gonna put. This is not going in because.
Well, you didn't say. Well, you did say my first name, but you didn't.
No.
That's not really. If that's really my first name. You didn't say like my last name or email address or something.
I'm gonna edit it out. I'm not gonna put it in.
No, this is probably the most entertaining part of the pod so far. Why would you edit out the good shit? Just bleep out my name. I don't know why. They'd have heard it 10 minutes before and 10 minutes afterwards. But
they can go back and listen. We've said your name before. Like
they're lazy. They won't remember.
Lazy. They're a bunch of scumbags.
No, people are. If anything, being in the work I do, that does require some sort of research on how people react on the internet. People don't read shit.
No.
People don't go back and listen. People are lazy as fuck.
Yeah, they
so
are.
I actually am pretty certain if you bleep it out, that one would be like, I don't know what the fuck his name is. Outside of the fact that we spent the next 5 minutes talking about it.
Yeah.
Which sealed the fate.
Although I want you to like say it in like Alex Jones' voice. Look here, people. Everyone on the internet is lazy because they turn the frogs gay. Oh shit. All right. Well, so we're gonna move. We're gonna talk about this shit.
We had talked about not talking about a mass shooting because there's another one, and it happened like right now. And this actually, I think, is like I'm okay with it. Right? I'd gotten to the point where I've been asking, like, I don't even want to talk about this stuff, but this one, like, happened. We both found out about it right now, and it was at a video game tournament in Jacksonville. And I don't know why or whatever. The world's crazy. Hopefully, no one died except the person shooting.
Yeah, good thing we don't need gun control of any substance.
I'd rather have that person alive and treated than dead. But if someone's gonna die at their hand, it should be themselves.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. But,
yeah.
So, let's go through the particulars. Instagram and Twitter at @that1pod. Email us at pod@gmail.com. Go to the Pippa for literally everything else. It's shows.pippa.io/that1podcast. All right. So, we have an auspicious start to this podcast. So let's go into the shit we actually planned on covering. There are 2 deaths in the anime world that we wanted to speak about. And for some of you may not watch anime, so you're not going to give a shit. But these deaths affect pretty much various forms of content that we sort of grew up on.
Probably you've been tangentially exposed to it. Someone probably has some relation, because some of this stuff isn't like, it's not obscure anime. I mean, you'll get into it, but these aren't like obscure people.
Yeah. So the first one is Unsho Ishizuka. He is a voice actor, and he's one of those people in the anime community that even if you don't know his name, you know his characters because he's pretty much had his hands in a lot of the more popular anime that's out here. He was, just to start off, the thing that sort of hit home for me that I most remembered was he was Jet in Cowboy Bebop. And he's done some various like Dragon Ball series, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Mobile Suit Gundam, and Macross. So like he's been involved in a lot of stuff. And the fucked up thing is how he died. For someone who is a voice actor, to die from esophageal cancer is just like,
yeah,
wow. So
yeah. Oh, and don't forget he was in the Pokemon. I mean, is that a 21-year run?
Yeah.
In various Pokemon series too.
Yeah, he was the narrator.
Yeah,
he was the narrator for it. I think, matter of fact, his character, he was basically Professor Oak for the Japanese version of it, and the narrator. So, condolences to him and his family, and obviously, you know, the anime community as a whole probably took a hit there with a giant like that passing. But then there's also the passing of Kunihiro Abe, and he was one of the animators from the Gundam series, and he's done a lot of mech anime is probably an understatement.
I mean, there have been so many Gundam series, and
Right?
he seems to have been involved in just about all of them.
But then there's shit that has anime in it, or that has mechs in it, that isn't Gundam that he still was involved with.
Oh yeah, and like inspired probably a lot of people
absolutely,
too.
Absolutely.
And he was only 50, which is crazy.
I know, right? And that's the sad thing about it, is like he was still really young. So yeah, we just want to touch base on that because I mean, again, both of these people sort of affected, you know, not only,
I mean, our lives. I didn't know them by name specifically till today, but I do know that they impacted my life, especially in my time growing up. Like,
exactly.
They helped create certain things that I really loved wasting time or spending time on.
Absolutely.
I still will go back, watch a random gun. If it's on TV and I'm going by it, because I still occasionally do, you know, channel surf because I'm an old man, I guess.
Yeah.
I still somewhat enjoy channel. If there's, you know, something Gundam related on there, yeah, I'll leave it on there for a bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say this, and this is probably the truest statement I could say right now about this. If it weren't for Cowboy Bebop, I probably wouldn't watch anime today. That shit, like Evangelion played a role as well, but Cowboy Bebop specifically let me see what anime could be, and it let me dip my toes in to the point where I found shit that was even completely unrelated. So yeah, it's sad to see people like that go, but you know, it's good to talk about their accolades so that they're appreciated properly.
Yeah, so that they're remembered.
Exactly. With that said, we're not going to go as deep of a dive into this as the other two, but it is only right that we should mention that as of yesterday and at the time of this recording, John McCain passed away as well. We're not going to dive into it that deep, not because we don't want to talk about John McCain specifically, but because, I mean, a lot of people are more familiar with John McCain, so it isn't necessary to do that. I will say this, before you have an opinion on it, about his passing in any way, shape, or form, actually look into the motherfucker, because he's been involved in American politics for so long. There's some really good things that he's done, but there's some really bad things he's done.
Right. And you know what? He committed his life to, even if he didn't choose the ways that you wanted to choose it, I don't think he was someone who was not trying to do public service.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the people who are in politics that, you know, you can kind of know, like, okay, they're in it. Like, everyone's somewhat selfish. Everyone's into things for themselves.
That's human nature.
It's no different. But, like, certain people are more on the spectrum of they feel like they're doing public service and they're trying to do the right thing that they believe in for people. And even if it's negative or what you disagree with, or not saying he was, but some people, you know, are racist or bigoted in some way and that kind of stuff. But even those people who are trying to do it in public service for what they feel is right, I have some amount of respect for and some amount of thinking that, like, I don't even know if I would do that, right?
Yeah.
Even for the stuff I do believe in. So, and I do think he was one of those people where he fundamentally disagreed with certain people or things I disagreed with, and he voted for things. And he's dead, and there's a amount of respect for someone who's willing to dedicate their life to public service. And, you know, I think there's a respect there, right? And usually that's all I have. Like, I don't have time for people who aren't coming, even if disagree or want to bring stuff up, they're not coming from it in that space when you're talking about, like, when Trump, I don't think Trump's doing a committed level of public service, right? Like, but I do think other people who probably agree with him did, and I would treat their death with more respect than I would his, even if, right, that kind of thing. So that's how I feel about McCain.
And with that said, it doesn't mean you add a level of disrespect. It's but sometimes you take time to appreciate someone a little bit more in their passing, and I think that's what you're really trying to reference.
Right.
So yeah, again, it is a sad day to see somebody who has been part of American politics past. But again, do your research to make your own determination of why you feel the way you do about his passing. Because maybe you like or dislike him a little bit more than you'd realize, and that's fair. But yeah. So, all right, enough of the nonsense like that. Let's go ahead and actually talk about
First, like, real nonsense?
Yeah, let's go into some legit nonsense. I don't even know how to start this conversation, if I want to be honest.
I don't even know what I know or don't know that is or isn't true. I know there's crazy shit happened with Elon Musk, his girlfriend, and Azealia Banks. I don't even know how involved Elon Musk was. Around the same time, he also was tweeting things that are possibly, like, SEC fraud situations. And he might or might not have been high, tweeting publicly. And it's just, do you want to give the summary as best as you understand it? And those are the highlight points, as I don't know what is and isn't true
You
anymore,
literally said what I was going to say, though. Like, it isn't like, I like, okay, let me get in here. No, I got nothing. Like, this is it's just weird. Like, it's all over the place. And, like, but it's still interesting. So you want to keep talking about it, but then, like, every time you, like, here's the thing. We tend not to talk about shit if we don't have a solid understanding of it, or at least a solid opinion on it. And this is one of those things where, like, even before the show started, he and I are talking about this, and we both go, man, I don't even know. Because it's like, well, how do we talk about this in a way that tells a story without sounding as confused as we are? Because that's essentially what's happening. Because here's the thing you have to remember too. Anytime Azealia Banks gets involved, like, shit just gets confusing, right? Like, she's never part of any drama that you go, oh, this is a well sussed out argument.
There's not well, I don't know anything about Grimes. So I knew so little about Grimes that I kept trying to find her first name. And obviously, well, not obviously, you may not know, but that's her stage name, and she has another name, right? But she just goes by Grimes, which, you know, as electronic artists will do. But I kept trying to think, like, I assumed with the name like Grimes, her first name was something. She was a country singer. Turns out that I knew very little about her except what's in this story, which is she and Azealia Banks were going to record a song together, and she invited her to Elon Musk's house. And then Azealia Banks didn't see her for 3 days while in the house. So either they were both in the house or Grimes was never in the house or something.
How big is the house?
I mean, it's Elon Musk's house, so it's probably monstrous. And it's probably like a third underground, and it's got secret tunnels to the core of the earth or something.
I can picture Grimes being at the part of the house that Azealia Banks doesn't even realize is there. Like one of those things, you know?
Yeah. It's funny is like, I have more opinions on. Are we really sure Elon Musk is what everyone? I guess it's probably already starting to turn about public opinion or whatever. But like, we sure he's all that awesome?
Yeah.
I
So
don't think so.
So this is something that Pedro and I were sort of discussing prior to us even considering doing this story. Is how is Elon Musk, his character as a whole, right? And here's the thing: I'm of the opinion that in the tech world, there are two extremes. You have and when I say this, let me dig into a little bit first. First of all, there are obviously people that are of a certain influential factor that everybody knows their name just because they got all the monies. But it's usually also because they're pretty smart, right?
Yeah.
But just because you're smart doesn't mean you're going to be the same kind of smart, or you're going to be the same kind of person who's smart. And there's two sort of offshoots. And ultimately, you sort of lean more towards one. There is the Bill Gates side, right? Who is... in my opinion, and there hasn't been any evidence to sort of go against this. And obviously, we all know how shit works nowadays. He might, be involved in some fucking scandal in like an hour and a half from me saying this, but you know how that works.
He's been pretty clean for a long time.
Exactly. But nonetheless, Bill Gates is that guy who goes, look, I'm rich beyond any comprehension of anyone else. I'm going to use this to not only better lives for other people, but try to make other people as smart as I am, or at least as close to as smart as I am as humanly possible, which is very commendable.
Yeah. You wouldn't accuse him of trying to be Batman or Iron Man or some shit.
No. And here's the thing. I think Bill Gates is selfish in a way that benefits everyone else no matter what, right? Like,
yeah, I can follow that.
I think for him, he's obsessed with like improving the lives of others, and
right. And he wouldn't mind being known for someone who did improve lives of others, which, okay, like, is that like Mother Teresa level? But of course we all know who she is too. But like is that level of selflessness? No, but like, come on, like, you can't expect that from you can't expect it from yourself, can't for him. But like, like, I think he has our heart in the right place and tries to help and isn't always the best at helping, but he's trying to help. He's over here trying to help, trying to give water and food to African countries, trying to like put up scholarship. Him and his wife do tons for education and stuff. Like, they're trying.
They're trying to get like even like I think his wife is like he and his wife are involved with like getting girls involved with more STEM stuff and
oh yeah, like, they're heavily. They've been on that for a long time, even before it was like cool. Or super absolutely. Popular to be. The Gates Foundation stuff with education's been. I mean, they're trying to get that happening. When I was in middle and high school, trying to get minorities and girls into technology, like that they've been trying to do that.
Exactly. So, but that's one end. The other end is the Steve Jobs end, where you clearly have an awareness, a knowledge level beyond some people, most people, I should say, and you know that, and you, instead of taking it the Bill Gates way, you go, look, you're never going to be at my level, and if you're not going to be at that level, I'm going to treat you like you're beneath me. And so a lot of times people's interpret your behavior as an asshole, and some of it is justified and some of it isn't, but at the same
some of it's just they don't have time for things they don't want to have time for.
Exactly. And that's and I think like there are some people who try to look like they lean more towards the Bill Gates side, but really lean more towards the Steve Jobs side, like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos really wants to appear like he's the this generation. It's funny to say this generation because like, to be fair, Bill Gates isn't really out, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like this latest group of billionaires version of Bill Gates, but like then you have it where like, wait, the reason you're rich is because you don't pay your fucking workers, and that's kind of an issue.
Well, I mean, I could spend a couple hours on what the weird transformation of Jeff Bezos was. And I mean, he looks 20 years younger now than he did 30 years ago.
Right?
He looks like Mr. Clean.
Right?
He looked like your unfortunate community college English professor. Like when they started Amazon.
You're not wrong.
And he's like the plucky underdog. And he switched to like the Terminator like 3 years ago. And I've been really weirded out. And it's not that you're not allowed to look that way. It's that he chose to be like, he has finite amount of time. And he put a lot of that time into not being healthy, but being like, you know, Navy SEAL in shape or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like he chose to spend time doing that. And it's like, okay, like that was a surprise. I didn't think that was what he wanted. But I mean, he's going to be healthier. Like, go for it. But it was so stark. It's so hard for me to forget about. The first time I saw a picture of him, I was like, nah, that's not him. That's not him. Remember when, like, who was that? Was it Dr. Dre that came out all swole one year at like the MTV Movie Awards?
Dr. Dre and Dave Chappelle did it like months apart.
And Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Remember Busta came out and he looked like he should be playing like right next to Brian Urlacher on the Bears?
Yeah.
We're all like, why are all these rappers getting on HGH, right? But you at least understood the persona a bit, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying making music isn't hard work. I'm saying it really feels like musicians have a ton of fucking leisure time that they could fill in with working out.
Yeah.
And there are some CEOs where I feel like they probably also have a bunch of fucking leisure time. It never struck me to think that Jeff Bezos was one of those guys. It always seemed like he was what we pretend Elon Musk is, which is like working like 22 hours a day or some shit. But, you know, to each his own.
But how do you know he's not doing crunches while in a board meeting?
Dude, those guys find he probably is. He's probably has board meetings during CrossFit or whatever is the current rage. Orange Theory or some shit.
Yeah.
But I would say
sponsored.
that like no, not at all. And
please sponsor us. Continue.
Yeah, it's funny is the spectrum that people know about what you're talking about is like the Steve Jobs, Bill Gates one, right? But like Steve Jobs, I don't know if he was a good or bad person. From all accounts, he was hard to work for, but rewarding to work for. From when I've heard podcasts about people who work there talk about like their life and was and stuff. It seems like where we're going with Elon Musk is that like he's the worst version of what I think the public persona of Steve Jobs is without the best part.
Yeah.
Like, I get that we're all supposed to pretend like Teslas are awesome and saving the world and stuff, and I'm happy that they exist. But whereas we're going to get into with the Kalashnikov car, which I want to talk about, it just gets a little into that. Is like, I feel like the Tesla inside the experience is awesome, but when I look at them, it's like, if you don't like cars and you want to build a really awesome looking car, but you don't actually really like cars, you'd build a car that looks like that because it looks like a Ford Taurus or a Mazda 3 or some shit, but like a little more sporty.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, that's fine. Like, that's how they designed it, right? When I was in California, I was like, no wonder everyone up here wants self-driving cars because none of you actually like to drive.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, none of you live in a place where you can get on the open road and hit the accelerator and get the feel and this noise and all that. And it isn't about how fast you go, but it's how fast you feel like you're going.
Exactly.
And you sound like you're going. And you don't even have to be going more than 65, but going from... And Teslas do that. Teslas are the fastest cars I've ever seen on the road, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like you're driving your kids to school. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's cool, right? And that's what I would expect from someone that, like, doesn't take the idea to the fullest extent. Like, I feel like if Steve Jobs created a car, you'd be just as impressed with the outside design as you were on the inside.
Exactly.
Right? And I feel like Elon Musk is like, are we sure he's that great? Or he was just an engineer at PayPal early enough to where they almost got digital currency right, which we still don't have right.
Yep.
At a time where they could make a huge boatload of money off of it because everyone liked the internet. And then he was quiet for a long time, and he did SpaceX, which is really awesome. That it's cool in theory that a private citizen's doing space stuff, and it's awesome. And it's awesome that he's making a really unsustainable electric car company, because I want people with a ton of money to either be really philanthropic or be really crazy trying to create really cool technology stuff that is going to lose money.
I want to be
so
both.
I'm happy he's doing that. Yeah. I want to do one of those two. I don't want him to squirrel his money away in private finance and make an extra building in downtown New York, right?
Exactly.
He probably did that too. But I'd rather him spend his money employing a bunch of crazy engineers to build something cool, so I'm happy he's doing that. When I see what he says and does, though, it kind of makes me feel like, man, I'd fucking hate you if I knew you.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. To that extent, I think Tesla came out too late. And what I mean by that is this. if it wasn't for the Obama era cash for clunkers shit, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen such a indistinguishable impact that Teslas have. So what I mean by
Right.
that is there's a lot of shitty cars that were out on the road and that were awful for the environment and let's be honest, just awful for the owners themselves, but they just dealt with it. But when Cash for Clunkers came out, the government said, "Look, we're going to give you money to go buy a new car that is more fuel efficient and it's going to spark the resurgence of the car industry to revive those fuckers again," which is neither here nor there, depending on if you think that's a good idea or not. But regardless, that took a lot of shitty cars off the road. And when Tesla came out, it was just after, right towards the tail end of that whole push. So what that meant was, if you were to get a Tesla, yeah, you could turn in a really shitty car to get like a more quote unquote environmentally friendly car, which is, again, that's a whole nother debate. But the problem was that people were turning in cars that weren't that old. We're talking about people who had like a car that's 2-3 years old to get a Tesla. And that's...
Well, you told me, didn't like you were working, was it before, you were working when you first started at Time Warner Cable, right? When you were like answering phones or whatever, or when you were out in, but they were trying to show you how you could afford a Tesla then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember you telling me, it's like, aren't those like $110,000 cars? We just got out of college.
Yeah.
Like, we're not supposed to be doing that. And he was like showing, he was like, the math technically works, but it shouldn't, so don't do it. But like, I was aghast at like, okay, that seems right, but I know the price tag is $100,000, so how is this even fucking possible?
Yeah.
Right?
And of course, you can do whatever you want to make the numbers work, but it's also like not realistic in that it doesn't account for maintenance and just upkeep. And look, there's less maintenance and upkeep with an electric car, with an all-electric car. But at the same time, it ain't like the motherfucker just is an infinite machine. Like, there's shit you need to do with it. And so it's like, you know, it's just one of those things where like, I think it was still good that it came out, because I think you and I can remember for the longest time, like the big car manufacturers would put on this show that said, "Oh, electric cars are just unfeasible. They're never going to work. You're never going to get a car that can't go more than 100 miles, and that's just not going to work." And even though, I mean, look at fucking Toyota with the Prius. Like, that's it's an electric car that does very well on the market. It looks uglier than sin, but at the same time, for just somebody who just wants to get in the car, drive it, and have the fucker work, it's perfect.
Dude, like 60 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
And like, it looks decent enough. And I've ridden in one because our
I have too.
And it, like, in the inside, it's like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah, it's like it's
fine.
It's not the spectacular, but it is the worst experience I've ever had. But at the very least, between Tesla and Prius, both sort of moving both markets, right? You got Tesla moving the high end market. You got Prius moving the the economy side of the market. Even though Priuses aren't that cheap, but they're still cheap in relative to the cars.
If you take away the cost of like, how much less you spend in gas, I guess it makes up for being it's probably 4,000 or 5,000 more than you would expect to spend for your lower price car. But I guess probably over 5 years you save that much money in
you probably save
gas.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they were part of the influencers that pushed the market to force everybody to come out with at least a form of a hybrid car. Fuck, even Lexus came out with a hybrid sports car, right?
Well, what they've found out because of Tesla is it's actually better to have electronic cars if you want higher performance.
Yeah.
Which no one thought was coming, right? The acceleration is so much better, right? Yeah.
And like, you even see it, like, and the thing is, it isn't as though this was unknown. Like, fucking race cars had electronic shit in it, you know, for years. And yeah, they clearly ran on gas, but at the same time too, it wasn't only gas, because they knew, like, we need to maximize our power out of these machines. So, but again, there are things you can do that forces the culture to move forward in a positive way, but still be a dick.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as far as this Azalea Banks shit goes,
Yeah.
and like you said, so I kind of have an an opinion on what I think happened with um with Elon coming out and saying that they're gonna try to take the company private. It still is very illegal. So yeah, so the theory according to Azalea Banks's shit is, the motherfucker was high and he just was saying shit
Yeah.
he shouldn't have been saying.
He was high as shit. Yeah.
But like I also think too, Elon likes to hype things. Like Elon wants to be a hype man at all times. And I think that there legitimately was something, because from what I had heard, there were so some people said that one, it was a farce, it never was going to happen, and he was just trying to give a a false narrative that would boost the shares in his company because people want that private investor money.
Yeah, but isn't that like a SEC violation if he wasn't high?
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. The other thing is, I've seen information that says that he was involved with J.P. Morgan Chase, and you don't bring J.P. Morgan Chase in unless you're going to be doing something like that. But what I think happened is that they were getting involved to help him discern if this was going to be good for his company or not, and that ultimately he ended up turning it down, not because it never was going to happen, but because after they looked at the facts, he decided, okay, or maybe the board or how I don't however that shit works, decided that maybe this wasn't going to be the best investment or the best decision for their company, particularly because the way it sounded was it was going to be investors from the Middle East, and especially when you're dealing with the presidential administration we're dealing with now, maybe you kind of want to really do your research into that to make sure that you don't fuck yourself, because imagine Tesla not being allowed to sell their cars in America. Like, that just isn't going to work.
Well, yeah. Probably pretty key place to sell your cars.
Exactly. Because I'm sure there'd be tons of motherfuckers in the Middle East that would buy them up. But I don't think that's what Elon wants. So, again, it's still illegal, right? Like, it's like there is no reason that would allow you to say such information before you legally are allowed to, without regardless of it, whether it was actually happening or whether it wasn't going to happen. Like, if it's one thing because here's the thing, right? And here's the problem with the way that, because of who the president is now, that he is forcing a narrative that, look, he treats Twitter like an interview, right? Like and that, like, oh, I'm just talking to my friends and this is something that happens to come out, and not like a news medium, even though that's how a lot of people use it. And because of that, like, people lie in interviews all the time. So people go, oh, well, I was just kidding, or you know what I mean? Like, because it's digital, you can just weasel your way out of it. So yeah, I mean, I doubt anything comes from it. I think there are some lawsuits that are being presented from certain shareholders because they feel like they were duped into purchasing the stock, and I'm like, look, you're the greedy one who did it. Like, like I kind of like it's one thing if you already had shares in it and then you got mad that you don't have more money. Okay, I get that. But like, if you bought it based off a tweet, well, who's the real dummy here? I think that's you, because let's say it actually did happen. That would have been illegal, and the SEC could have said no, and then you still would have been out of the money. So then what do you do, right? Like, so I think it's an example of people being greedy and then being mad that they can't benefit from them being greedy. But regardless, I think it's real. Again, I don't know where Elon Musk falls on this spectrum. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. I think he is a hybrid of the two, because some of the shit, like, you only would do if you're trying to help people because you're losing a shit ton of money, right? And then some of the shit, I'm like, oh, that's just a cash grab. So, but here's the thing: you can be both. Like, and I think that's the thing that people don't come to terms with is everybody wants someone to be one thing, and act as though it's impossible for them to have layers to their personality and to their end game. And frankly speaking, I'm fine with you being both. As long as you are still trying to do something to help make my life better, even if it's not today, tomorrow, I'm cool with that. And I'm hoping everybody else is too, although we know how the internet works.
Yeah.
But, all right. So, yeah. Now let's talk about the shit we actually want to talk about when it comes to this.
Yes. So, who would have thought that the company that brought you the AK-47 is going to bring you a really cool looking electric car?
Right? This is so weird. And, like, it's not just an electric car. But they have an electric motorcycle, too.
A what?
An electric motorcycle.
Oh, yeah, I know. Right? And they, like, it's a really cool looking retro car. Like, I would have that car. That car's pretty dope looking. I would love to go down the street in that car, you know?
The funny
I'd love to roll down the street slowly in that car, right? Not making any noise because it's electric, but still, like, yeah, that's right. It looks like some weird, like 50s Ford truck retro shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome looking. I don't know how any other way to say it. It really gets me going.
The funny thing
it's
is,
a really cool
it
car.
looks like you found an old school Soviet era.
Yes, it does.
In like some barn in like the fucking Siberian like countryside, and you cleaned it up and gave it like a new paint job and some new wheels, and that's what you came out with.
Actually, I want to take it a step further. It sounds like the people who made RoboCop found that car and tried to make it live in the RoboCop universe, and then another person found it and added a touch of Baby Blue, because Baby Blue wouldn't fit in RoboCop.
No.
But I feel like the car looks like it should have been driven by a villain in RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that. I don't know why, but I am.
It might still be. So,
yeah.
So yeah, it's a CV1. They're calling it the CV1. And it has a range of 350 kilometers, which is just under what I think most Teslas do. It can go from 0 to 100 kilometers in 6 seconds, so not bad at all. The batteries for the new electric vehicle have a capacity of 90 kilowatt per hour, so they're pretty good batteries. I know that you can buy cheaper, lower end models of Teslas that have worse batteries, so to have a 90 kilowatt per hour battery is pretty decent. And the best part is they showcased it at the gun show.
Of course they did. Because that's where all their people are.
They go, yo, if you want to do a drive-by with one of our guns and not know,
also
let
do
know
it.
You're coming, do it with an electric car.
Exactly. Gun's still old school combustion powered though. Mm-hmm. Don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. It ain't no electric gun.
Nah. They're not trying to do a fucking hand rail gun or something like that, which would still be dope, right? Like, but still. But then they also did like I said, they did an electric motorcycle, which it looks way boxier than I anticipated.
Yeah, the motorcycle looks less interesting to me than the car.
Yeah,
the motorcycle looked like a toy motorcycle, right? And the car looks like, they let some artists do it exactly what the fuck they wanted to do with it. Like, there was no, anyone oh, what if we make this compromise here? No fucking compromises.
Yeah.
I'm making this weird fucking futuristic and backwards car at the same time, and it's going to be electric.
And
I'm so happy with it.
And speaking of RoboCop, they did try to make a fucking RoboCop robot. That just walks around.
In the same article, there's absolutely a RoboCop robot. It's at the front of their trade show for the gun thing.
We are going to post the TechCrunch article that we read everything on, so you can see it. Because some of these pictures, like I said, some of the pictures of this car, I think I've made myself pretty clear. I give no fucks about retro aesthetic. I don't like retro. I want my shit to look like it's from the future. It's not my jam.
It's not.
But I like this car a little bit. But I only would want it in baby blue. If you put it in a different color, you can eat it.
Dude, yeah, I can't think of another color that it would be as good.
No, imagine this in white. No, get out of here. Baby blue all day. Which, by the way, I'm looking at one of the pictures of the boot side. And like I'm just looking at it, the paint is like lumpy on the back, like where you put the like charging in. So like I'm like, what the fuck is this? So
Dude, it's got old. Did you just notice like the door handle and the way you get in the trunk is the oldest looking things?
Yeah.
It's like old door handle and the old like you put the key in and then you push it. You push the entire key thing down as its own button to open the trunk.
Didn't they get rid of those because they were easy to break into? Like
Probably.
But here's
It's
the thing.
probably not safe at all.
And here's the thing.
But it's from Russia, so whatever.
Well, it's not even that it's from Russia. It's from a gun manufacturer. They're not knowing how to make a car. They're probably like, hey, let's buy the rights to this car.
I thought you were going to say they don't care about safety.
Well, that too, right? Like they probably like, and a gun manufacturer probably is going, but how is this going to be safe for the end user? No, they don't give a shit about that. So we'll post pictures so you can see all this shit. But now you can actually say in Soviet Russia, car drives you. So well, actually, we don't know if it has like smart lane technology.
It's got to. It's got to.
It better. But then again, because like again, you want the car to keep you in the lane while you do your drive by with your AK-47. So.
Right.
For Russian dissidents. All right. So next thing we're going to talk about, this is an example of people doing shit under the guise of trying to have purpose, but just being an asshole. So last week, maybe a week before, thereabouts, it doesn't really matter. There was this woman who was involved in this like sort of Tinder sort of scandal. And this is how the story sort of was presented initially. Basically, this woman started talking to a bunch of guys on Tinder, and basically, which like that is not a story in and of itself, right? Because that's Tinder in a nutshell. But what she did was she essentially like ghosted them all for at least a week or two, and then came back and was like, "Hey, sorry I've been gone." She made up some bullshit excuse and was like, "If you're still interested in meeting, we could do that." And if the guy said, "Yeah," she's like, "Okay, meet me at this location at this time." And so what ends up happening is, and it's in like Union Square. So what ends up happening is a shit ton of guys, hundreds of guys, in fact, show up in Union Square at the same time, only to realize, yo, this girl told all of us this. It wasn't like I was meeting up with this girl for a date or just like coffee or something. She's like literally meeting up. And she did it, and she's like, look, dating apps, make it really hard to meet people, and so like rather than like going on a date with all you guys, I just want to just like weed you out now, so that way I can make a determination on who's actually worth going on a date. Which I'm like, oh, you can do that by just
Isn't that what the app is for?
yeah, like you can just message.
Well, I guess they're lying. You know what?
True.
Luckily, I've never had to be in that world.
Paige was, look at your man, he's locked it down. But
I've been locked down.
He goes, I've been locked down. But like, so like she like went through like asking them questions to like eliminate them. So
I thought it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it as a bit.
Yeah.
Like I was, because like she even said like, if your name is Jimmy, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Like she'd have known their name was Jimmy before she invited him. She's just out there like
exactly.
It was
right?
funny. I thought that was really funny. I enjoyed her bit. Like she obviously wasn't interested in any of them.
No.
So it's
well,
like
no, you don't go
if you came here through that, like yeah, like I enjoyed it.
Because some of them are like shit that like makes sense if you're on a date, right? Like
Yeah.
she's like if
She started out with reasonable stuff.
yeah like
She also was against beards. So fuck
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, like you can have a.
She and my wife would disagree.
You can have a good beer, like get the fuck out of here. But like, so for instance, her first elimination was like, if you think you can support Trump and date a Puerto Rican, you're wrong. Get out of here.
Solid point.
I think it is. Hashtag Puerto Rico still has no power. And Flint has no clean water too. Deal with it. accept it.
Yeah, Flint still doesn't have, like...
They still don't have clean water.
I don't understand, like, how that's still possible.
I know. But then she's like, if you got a beer belly, if you have a long beard, khakis, if even if you wore some fucking Toms, I was like, damn. But then,
Are Toms comfortable?
that's what they're supposed to be. I don't know fucking
I feel like
Toms.
that's the whole point, right?
Yeah, but then they do that bullshit like, if you buy a pair of Toms, we'll give a pair to someone in a needy country. And I'm like, and it sounds good in theory until you realize that it actually hurts those places. But that's a story for another day. But nonetheless, so you're thinking like, oh, this woman is showing how, and then like, so people were like, oh, she's just like doing like her own dating game in like a funny way. But that isn't actually what happened. Come to find out, this is all like some like was meant to be like some viral video marketing campaign that was made by the same guy who did that anti-harassment video clip a few years back, where just showed like a woman walking down the street of New York and guys were catcalling her, you know, which I thought that did a very good job of demonstrating how, one, creepy, two, offensive, and three, unwanted catcalling was, you know, and still is for that matter. But like, it was done by the same group that did that, and it was supposed to show, and I can't remember like what their exact verbiage was, but it was supposed to show how like dating apps are used nowadays, because the guy was like, well, this is basically how people use dating apps and nowadays, and it's not about the actual connection with the people, and like, but here's the thing. The problem with trying to make a good point about something is if you do it in a way where you're an asshole, then no one gives a shit about your opinion, because essentially like, you're making these guys commit to something that they didn't volunteer for. And it just, like you said, it's funny at first until you realize, wait a minute, these dudes like legit thought that they were going on a date, and like, you don't know what they did to like, get
but
to that
like,
point.
It's not like they publicized their names or told them they had to stay. The people who stayed there signed up for the bit. I'm not as much on your side as far as feeling bad for him. I still think it's funny. If you saw that like 400 other dudes came back there, and you talk to one guy and he's like, "Yeah, you're in the this is bullshit. I'm leaving," and then you leave. Unless you're telling me that they publicized the list of the people that were there. Well, no, but that'd like, be totally against that.
But like, I think, but like, I watched some of the video. Did you actually see the video of it?
Mm-mm.
I saw some.
I've just seen the pictures.
I watched some of the video, and like, I think some of them were. But like, here's the thing: they weren't actually going to end up going on a date with this girl. So it isn't.
No.
But like, I think some of them were just like first of all, it's Union Square. It isn't like they went to like a location where like a bunch of people wouldn't be. And if they see a stage up there, some of them probably think, oh, well, maybe there's like a presentation or like somebody's gonna be talking. Yeah. So these guys are here for that. And like, yeah, some of them might have been talking to each other and like said, wait a minute, are you doing this too? But at the same time too, like. When I watched the video, a lot of those guys are just standing there and they look just like legit, like confused, like, wait, what's happening? Like, even after, like, because like it gets to a point where she's like, no, I'm talking to you. You got to go because I know you have a beard. You can't be here. And the dude just literally looking shook, like, what the fuck is happening here? So like, and that's why I'm saying like, this is just an asshole thing, right? It's not, it'd be one thing if like I've seen instances of this, like,
if you stayed though, did you expect it to go well? Like, I don't know why you fucking stayed. Like, not you. I don't know why anyone like would stay unless they want that punishment. Yeah. Unless they, unless they want that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
it was very clearly laid out. Okay, this is what just happened. And if you want to stay and still go on a date with me, you can stay. But it's just like, if you do, like, you're running the risk of her, like, you really think, I mean, I don't know, same people who think people actually fall in love on The Bachelor and shit. Like, if you want to be in that world and you want to feel that way, go for it. You stick around. But if the people who, it's not like, I would say, if you'd have publicized people's names or something, something like that, I'm against it.
That's
I'm
what I'm
for
saying.
it.
But I'm saying it's half and half. I think there are some people who were there thinking like, oh, this is actually going to work. But I think there's some people who are just in a state of shookness that they didn't know what to do. And like, I feel bad for those guys. Because if you legit just came up there, you're like, what what the fuck just happened? Like, I can very easily see that being a thing. And
Yeah.
even if there's one guy, you're still an asshole, right? Like, if there's one person who wasn't about it, you're an asshole. Like, that's just how it is. And yes,
All I'm saying is, if they'd have all left, she'd have had nothing.
I agree,
That I've
but
been
there's
like,
always,
I'm out.
but like this works. But this works for in every scenario. There's always going to be somebody who is just doing fuck. Like, I want to talk about this another day because I do find it really interesting. How familiar are you with incels? Do you know anything about incels?
No.
So incel is a name short for involuntary celibates, and it's this community online that's real fucked up. And
Involuntary celibate?
yeah.
Okay.
We do not have enough time today to go into it, but I will make a note to talk about incels on the next show. And
It sounds like something you should have Anna Kay on for, because she really likes all this, like,
oh no,
counterculture.
We probably should.
Yeah.
We probably should. And I bet she knows something about
She
that
probably
community.
does. She probably follows a Reddit, like, group that, like, this is one of the stuff that gets talked about in
The
there.
funny thing is, the incels wouldn't want her involved at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, because they feel they're having, oh, no, she wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like someone else choose, so they think they're celibate because no one wants them.
Well, they think, no, it's not even because no one wants them. It's because society has set up criteria that they don't meet and never will meet, and so are then forced into being into this community. But again,
I'm not laughing at their pain. I'm laughing at just the idea that I'm assuming they're like white male heterosexuals, right?
More or less, the majority of them are, but there are some that are of a different sort
and
of,
that feel that they're entitled to all of the women that fall before them, like they're James Bond.
Yeah. Well, it goes even deeper than that. Like I said, we'll get into that like literal next episode.
Yeah,
we are going to talk about this, but
probably I'm assuming I'm going to take against this. Like everything else, does have real people who really do have some amount of pain that I would like feel bad for them for, surrounded by a giant group of other people who are just fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And like a lot of these things are, man, like there are real people who probably are really hurt, and just because they happen to be cis white male, whatever, like they don't get the sympathy that they might get if they didn't have a whole bunch of like other assholes around them jumping onto it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll have an episode. We can literally dedicate a whole episode to just that shit because it goes into many offshoots. But yeah, I think we'll say that for another day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, Pedro. So we're about to hit an hour almost exactly. Do we want to go into James Bond?
We can save James Bond.
So this is what I'm thinking.
We still have to do the movie upcoming. We're excited about previous podcasts. And we're running out of time for that shit. Because I want to do it before Mission Impossible.
I agree. Do we want to do let's do a special movie episode? We did a comics one. Let's just do a movie one.
Well, let's end the show unless there's something else you want to talk to.
No. That's what we're gonna do. That's what. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I just want to say to all of you who are gonna be listening to movies later, do yourself a favor and go back and watch some John Woo movies from the '90s, because I've been doing that lately, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Just don't take it too seriously. Apparently, late '90s action movies. I haven't got back to Con Air yet. I'm going to watch Con Air pretty soon. I don't think John Woo did Con Air, but it was in the same time frame.
No.
When I watched Face Off, which is just a jewel
yeah.
of a movie.
It's classic.
Mission Impossible 2, where there's like, I swear to God, I think John Woo gave all the good people long hair that flowed in the wind, and all the evil people had short hair that didn't flow in the wind. It didn't have like buzz cuts. Shorter haircuts, and then made them stiff to where when the wind blew, their hair didn't move. And I don't think any of us noticed that the first 4 or 5 times we watched the movie. We noticed probably the hair flipping. We didn't notice that, they had long hair, but their hair didn't move in the wind.
Was it old school
It's just
CGI?
little stuff like... No, it was real... No, they didn't use CGI. There was something cool about going back and watching movies that had to use practical effects.
Yeah.
Where it's like fun, and like, oh man, that's crazy. Oh, look at the stunt double right there. Like, obviously... It's not even close to looking like John Travolta doing water skiing next to the boat. But there's a real person on that boat holding onto it, fucking water skiing with wingtips on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's actually happening. They couldn't CGI that shit. And it's like, yes, that's so awesome. There's so much unnecessary slow motion. Ducky, I swear to you, 70% of Face Off is in slow motion. Like, we didn't remember that at the time. We didn't think it was weird. Go back and watch Face Off. 70% of the movie is in slow motion.
I believe it.
It's a movie about reaction shots of close-ups to Nicolas Cage and John Travolta's face, and then an odd amount of slow motion action.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll watch it. We'll watch it and see what we got.
Just terrific.
But let's go ahead and end it on that note. So, thanks for listening, you guys. Obviously, we got some pretty good ideas coming out here. We like Pedro said, we're gonna have a special movie focus episode. We still need to get an upcoming TV episode because we just wrapped up summer pretty much, and we're gonna be hitting the fall schedule. So there's gonna be a lot of shit we need to talk about there. So we're gonna be trying to crank out the content. We might end up doing it where we put out 2 episodes in the same week, but shit, we gotta get it where we can keep one. So we'll see. But regardless, as always, you guys know where to go. Twitter and Instagram at That1Pod. I actually probably will start putting more shit in the Instagram because I actually have shit I actually need to show you. But as always, go to the Pippa Show page, which is shows.pippa.io/That1Podcast. You'll get a link to everything, even the Discord channel, because I'm curious to hear everyone's take on some of these things, especially once the movie shit comes out. I want to know what movies you guys are interested in too. But as always, everybody, thanks